Thank you all for coming. I realize it's a decent sized crowd. As Paul mentioned, I realize most of you are here just because it's a comfortable place to be in college. So I appreciate you here for that. The rest of you, I'll explain a little bit on how to choose an integrator. A little background about us with Applied Robotics. We are the manufacturer of various components for industry and automation. We make automatic tool changers. We make collision sensors, crush sensors. We also make various types of pneumatic grippers and palletizing and box and bag grippers. So we're here in booth 8366. So immediately after this presentation, go on over there and check us out. It'll change your life. As you can see, we are not an integrator. A company does not integrate. And so it's interesting that we are making this, or I'm making this presentation. I think it's the advantage of what we've got going on here is that since we're not an integrator, normally this type of discussion is held by a company, and what they'll do is tell you how they do things, and say this is the best way to do something because this is how we do it, and never do something like that because that's how the other guys do it. It's really not good. From our standpoint, we actually sell to and through various integrators, and so we reached out to our customer base and our partners, and we asked them what they look for and what they see, and what are some of the best practices in their opinion, and we filtered out some of the obvious push it in my direction type of answer. And I think it's a pretty simple presentation that should answer your baseline questions where to start. In the end, what you're going to find, like anything, it's not overly complicated. It really comes down to doing your due diligence. You have a process that's slow or dangerous, it's unprofitable, or you like to make a process that doesn't exist yet, and you want to do things differently because the way you do it is incorrect, slow, dangerous, like I said before, something like that. Either you don't have the ability to do this in-house, or you don't have the time, or both. So you go to an integrator or a custom machine builder. So whenever you do that, what you need to start off with is your homework. That's what I said before. What we're going to find here is a large portion of this discussion is about doing your homework. And so what does that mean? You know, you're looking to start a new relationship. And relationships of any type are difficult. Expectations are unclear. Trust has not yet been earned. So it's imperative that clarity is established right from the beginning. You know, you don't need to be hiding something from your proposed integrator. When you're meeting with people, you don't want to, well, I don't want to tell them this because, no, you want to tell them that. They need to know, you know, well, we have this problem. And, you know, Fred lost 2 fingers last year, and whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that you're being upfront and clear with every aspect of what you're doing. You know, there's a lot of risks in integration, in custom machine building. The risks are high for both parties. You know, the customer wants to improve a process and reduce costs and increase safety, but they don't want to be stuck with an expensive single-use machine that perhaps they outgrow almost immediately. A systems integrator don't want to get stuck designing, with the cost of engineering, designing an OEM's potentially underdeveloped parts of process. That's not what they're for. That's not what they do. So, fortunately, finding the an integrator and resolving this type of issue is not overly difficult. So, can you clearly define your needs and your issues that you're looking to resolve in your applications? Is this simple machine tending? Well, maybe that's easy. I need to put a part in the machine. I need to remove a part from the machine. So you can clearly define it. Is the need isolated? Or is it going to have to integrate into other existing or new machinery? That's important. Do you have a concept or vision of how the solution might work? And are you married to that concept or vision? Because many times, you know, in the past we did this solution this way, so you have it in your mind. But you're going to professional, and they may be able to resolve that same issue in a simpler, faster, better, or safer manner. or maybe not. Maybe your solution is, that's a fantastic, that's the whole crux of the advantage. So you want to bring that to them. So, and also you have a preliminary idea of cost. You don't want to go in thinking, hey, this should be 50, 75,000, when in the end, this is a large project, a long time, it's going to take a year, and we're talking $1 million, $1.5 million. So you need to have these things clear from the beginning. So again, the best advice is simple and true. It's be prepared. You know, something we know in every aspect of what we do. There's nothing new and amazing going on here. Do you have a clear idea of separating your needs from your preferences? A lot of times people come to the table and say, I need this, and I have a list of these things that has to be done. In reality, maybe 4 of these 10 things are necessities that really need to be done. The other 6 would be nice. So you need to be able to know up front what are your necessities, because that's going to change the complexity of your solution, and that's going to change the cost of the solution. You know about your products. You know what your output needs to be, what you'd like it to be, what it currently is. What are your current holdups? How many parts per year? How many parts per shift? What are your goals as far as that goes? Is it a single product? Is it multiple products? Is it multiple sizes of the same product? Is it multiple materials? We make a plastic one, we make a double one, we make a steel one, we make a stainless steel one. There are different weights involved. So you have to understand what your products are. If it's multiple, what is that mix? What are the differences? What type of cycle life do you want from the machine, from the solution? Are there component supply methods that are going to be integrated into this solution? Again, if it's a simple machine tending type of application, perhaps not. But if you're building a large solution that has to be fully integrated, we need to know, how the various components get supplied and brought in, for example. And are there specific runtime requirements based on your own company's internal needs and procedures? So also, let's talk about your processes. Do you have specific processes that you currently do and that are necessary? Or do you have other processes you currently do and you believe to be necessary, so you're going to put it there, but you have to understand what your processes are. And a lot of times, the processes in any company, in any machinery exist because of the prior standard. And we're not going to redesign that. Let's just put this thing on it. And we're not going to, let's just put it here. And so your process is this. But if you're replacing this, do you need to do that in that order? Just because it was done that way in the past, it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. There could be a better way, a shorter way. You can completely remove these processes which were there because of history. Are there inspections required by your company or required by your customer? Do those need to be integrated in the machine? Or should they be? Perhaps now you have a manual. You do this, it gets inspected manually or automatically, but it gets inspected then, maybe that can be done automatically, through the system. So you need to know about those inspections, what are required by you or required by your customer, the exact requirements and specs. What other features and functions are you looking for? Do you have control systems preferences? In our factory, or if you're reselling that, or so in our customer's factory, they only use, or they prefer to use this type of control system. Or we're changing over, here's our requirements for that, or we have to integrate existing data. These are all things that are very important and come into play. Remember, if you just go to an integrator and say, you have a vague idea, and that integrator is unprofessional enough to, after a little bit of negotiation, come to a simple solution, what's going to happen is you're going to come into trouble. You're going to run into trouble later, and you're going to start, oh, that's not our responsibility. Oh, you need, and it's not what you want. You want to be very clear. You want to have an agreement up front. You want to have all these things understood and clarified so that you can come with a solution that's going to be exactly what you wanted and exactly what the concept of integrator is. Other things you need to think about ahead of time. You have employees. You have operators. You have support staff. What do? Do they need to be trained? How do they need to be trained? Who's going to train them? You have facilities. You have footprint size constraints. You have shipping constraints. You have environmental issues and constraints. You have utilities. What type of utilities are going to be needed? Do you have them already in place, or do you need to put them in place? Or do you need to change what you would normally do because where you are, you don't have access to whatever those utilities may be? You have preferred components list. We're part of a larger group. We only buy these components from our mother company, or we like this, or our company only uses this type of motor. So is that important? Do you have that? And do you have internal documentation requirements, or external for that matter? Is it something that's required? These things all need to be brought up at the beginning. In fact, it is a huge savings of money on many fronts by doing this homework because only you know this. And in fact, any integrator with this is also going to ask you these things anyway. So you can go to the integrator start discussion and have the questions asked, or you can ask the questions internally, be prepared, put together your packet, and then be able to choose your integrator. Put together also some examples as well. If you need documentation, manuals, procedures, be specific. Here's what we currently do. Here's what we're required. It needs to be written this way, done that way. So again, it's about the communication. That is the most important part of choosing an integrator, is what I just went over. All these aspects which really have nothing to do with your integrator. It has everything to do with you, your company, your procedures, how you currently do things. If you don't prepare this, it's going to get prepared sooner or later, or you're going to work with an integrator without asking it, and it's just going to result in issues. So also what you'll find is by doing this homework ahead of time, you may find that you don't really know how you do certain things. We've just always kind of done it that way, and we thought we could just do it this way. We want to do it that way, but is that possible? So a lot of times as you start doing this in-house, you really do begin to get the idea that you thought you had. You begin to cement that idea, and then when you bring it to your group of integrators that you've started on your large end of research, you have a better idea of what to give them. So again, I can't stress enough this first part, all of these questions about what you're looking to do and how you guys do it, that's the key. Everything else is secondary or tertiary. It's just, it's all important, but that's the beginning part of the key. So again, it's about research. You're looking for choosing an integrator. After you've done your research, or maybe towards the back end of your research, you start looking out and reaching out for various integrators. So you need to do your homework at this point. What attributes are you looking for? What are the technical capabilities of the companies in question? What type of design staff do they have? What type of controls and engineering staff do they have? What in-house capabilities do they have? Do they have machine shops in-house? Do they have panel building in-house? Do they have controls experts and programming experts? Are they vision systems experts, if that's something that you require? So you need to look into, based on the research that I beat with the hammer from before, based on that research, you need to start looking at integrators that have that type of background and that type of knowledge. Because there are integrators and there are integrators. There are small integrators that focus on smaller applications, machine tending and whatnot. There are other integrators that focus on, and perhaps they're machine builders, custom machine builders, and take it to another step. What is the experience of your integrator in your preferred control system? If you have certain things in-house that use a particular control system, do you want to be bringing in a new one, a different one? And if so, there's going to be training involved. Who's going to training? How is that done? What about the maintenance? These are issues to think about at this point as well. What about the experience for your integrator? Do you have documented experience in applications similar to yours? Every integrator out there has some experience, unless they're just a startup, and why are you looking at them unless you know them for some other reason, reputation perhaps. But do they have experience in doing applications similar to what you're doing? There are integrators who focus, for example, on certain sectors, there are welding integrators, and their expertise is in welding. And there's different types of welding integrators that focus on the various aspects of metal and material removal, on deburring, on grinding. Those are completely separate. You might have an integrator who do both the welding and maybe deburring, grinding, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe not. Do they have that expertise? Or do you, is your application applying adhesives? Do your integrators have that type of knowledge? They're not the same. Integrating is not integrating. You need to find somebody who has experience in your expertise. Is your solution going to require a robot, as of many we see out there from different manufacturers? And what is their robot experience? You have official partners for the various robot manufacturers, and they're on their website, and they're integrators, and they're robot partners. And if you are used to using a Kuka or a Fennec or a Yaskawa, or take your pick, and maybe you want to continue using that type of robot, well, then maybe you want to start also by looking at that robot's manufacturer site and finding official integrators who are experienced and knowledgeable in that. Reputation and references. This would seem obvious, and yet, unfortunately, it's something that needs to be thrown out there. You need reputation is one thing. They may have a good reputation. Somebody told me, or I've heard, or I've seen. But do they have references? Do they have references that you can contact specifically? Do they have references specifically doing something similar to what you're doing? You know, we did this welding application to this guy. We did this deburring application to this guy. Oh, but I'm applying adhesive. Well, call my welding guy. He'll speak well of us. You don't do adhesive. You've never had it done. So you need to get specific references as well. Okay. Do they have specializations? Or do you require specializations? Are there safety requirements that they are aware of, and what is their reputation? How do they use them? What are they doing to make this integration, this machinery for? What are they doing to make it safe? And what are your requirements beyond what's required for you to have? Do you have internal requirements for safety that are above and beyond? Are you doing multiple of these machines, or maybe one's going to Europe and they have separate safety requirements? Everything must be enclosed. Well, we're happy to have that open, for example. And do they have experience with doing that? Have they CE certified equipment, for example? Are there other internal needs that your company and or your group are going to require of the integrator? And these are specific things that companies have in place. Perhaps belonging to certain organizations or having certain certifications. That's a filtering factor. What about their technological strengths? Where do they excel? Their project management system. What is it? Have you met the project managers? Have you met the project manager who would likely be looking at your project? Are they certified? Do they need to be certified? These are questions you need to ask. What about the other personnel? They seem to be knowledgeable. Are you always meeting one person? Do you meet a group? Who's involved in the group? Is it always different? Oh, that guy doesn't work here anymore. Is there a lot of turnover in the personnel from that standpoint? As much as you can tell, as much as you need to understand. What about the financial health of this company? What you don't want is to be coming in at the tail end of their issue where your initial payments are financing the completion of their last machine to get out the door. So it's robbing from Peter to pay Paul. First of all, you're Peter. And so are they financially viable? Can you demonstrate that? It's a fair question to ask. I'm investing a certain amount of partnering. Can you complete this project? And you have the means to have the personnel and the equipment necessary to do what I need. What about their design philosophy? What about the geographic location? Where are they relative to you? Is it important that they're close? Many times that's a key factor, that they're close. Well, I'm here in Chicago, and I found a great integrator in Los Angeles. Is that an issue? It may be, it may not be. That is for you to decide based on what's going on. If it's a massive project that's going to require a lot of shipping, or what about the training? You have to send people out to LA to do training on site if it's a larger project, and they require training of your own personnel. So now I have to send 5 guys out to LA 3 times during the process of the building. Is that something that is counted in my budget? And sometimes that's a factor. So it can be regional, and that could be reasonable. It can be local, it can be better or not, or they can be very far. And I can't tell you that, definitely go with local or regional. What I can say is consider your scenario. This is where the advantage of not being an integrator comes in. I'm not, you definitely should go with local. We've got branches everywhere, so we're the guys. No. So you just want to find what's going to work best for you based on your logistics and your solution. I mentioned briefly service and support. Very important, often overlooked. What type of service do they offer and support? What will you need? Are they going to tell you what you need, and you know what you need? So this solution is going to work immediately, and obviously you're going to have, especially for a larger project, some sort of testing on at their site, and then you'll need to do some also at your site. What about the support as far as that goes? What about the service support afterwards? Whenever there's something going along, is that included? If not included, how do we pay for it? What are the terms? I need a guy here immediately. Is that how it works? No, we don't have people sent out immediately. I can have a guy there in 2 weeks that's right busy, and that guy just quit. And the reputation in this, what other, back to us before, what other companies that are in the field to think about them. The last thing is, in the end, you've done your research of what you know you need. And now you've looked into what you're looking for in an integrator, and you've started looking at which integrators are involved, and you've talked to someone. Do they feel right in the end? It's important to a lot of people because it's kind of, it is not, it is relative as opposed to something that's fixed. So I met with them, and yeah, it looked right, but just, I don't know, it didn't feel right. That's important. So, it comes down to, it's like when you're hiring a person. We interviewed this many people, and it's really down to this guy and that guy, and the paper looks great, and they interviewed well, but the one guy or the one lady just, I don't know. Sometimes you have to go with that. When everything else is equal, that's a valid thing to consider. Remember, this company is going to be your partner. This integrator in even a small project is something that you're partnering with. You're giving them some of your information. You're giving them some of your knowledge and to do something. So it has to feel right. And what is their design philosophy? Are their machine elements doweled and keyed, or are they floated at assembly? Is the framework welded, or is it bolted aluminum? And does that make a difference to you? Is there rigidity involved? Are you concerned about that? How do you do it in-house? In-house we always weld. Bringing the machine with aluminum extrusion could be the best thing ever, but is your team going to be on board? And well, of course it's not working, boss. It's made of aluminum, or whatever the case may be. Also, their design philosophy. We always now and key things. Everything is locked in place. Everything is machined. Of course, that's how we do it. Is that documented? And they show you that. There are internal policies. Some internal policies, please, that show us that these things that you do are part of your process, and not think, we do that. Can you document that, please? Well, we do. Ask him. He knows. Okay. So if you want some sort of documentation, it will show you that their philosophy is in fact their philosophy, and it applies to yours. In the end, after you do the research, you have to live with how they do business. Once it's decided, you say, yeah, you guys, when you started, they're not going to change how they do things. How they do things is how they do it. So when you make that choice, well, that's how they do it. If it doesn't match with yours, the odds of having a lasting relationship will diminish. And let's face it, what we want and what your integrator wants is a lasting relationship. Maybe for you this is a small or medium project, and you've got a bigger one down the line. They would love to have that business, and that this could be a test for you, and you want to make sure that it works. So again, it has to, you have to match with them, and they have to match with you. So, now that we've figured out what we're doing and what we want to do, and then we've looked at the various companies out there who can do it or say they can do it, we have to actually choose our integrator. So as I said before, developing custom automation is risky business for both the customer and the integrator. You know, a relationship is built on trust and openness. It's the key. It's what makes it successful. So this is night and day. You don't want to be hiding things. You don't want to put any gotchas in, because in the end, you know, as we know, there's no free lunch. Who's going to pay for the, you know, these things in the end? It's going to be you. Either it's going to be delay in the machinery, or it's not going to work appropriately, or whatever that is. Just to be open up front. So that is the key. So you've done your vendor research. Now you're ready to get down to the nitty gritty. You know, so of course, what you want to put in place are some NDAs. You know, again, based on the complexity of your project and your know-how and how much you're going to put out there to your integrator. You want to consider your budgetary proposals from your group of integrators you've been looking at, and possibly some site visits too. You know, you say you do this, you say that, you're talking about it. Let me check out how you work. Let me see your, you know, is it a dirty place? Are the employees flicking cigarettes into the coolant of the machine tools? You know, yeah, I know, it never happens. So, what does that say? Well, to me, it could be nothing, quite frankly, or it could be an idea of how they do things. Everyone says they're thorough and efficient, but you see that down to the detail level. Especially if the detail level is important. Again, if you're looking at a project that is $1.5 million, $750,000, or quite frankly, it could even be smaller. For you, it's a lot of money. These details are important. And your request for quote package is next on the list, and then you're going to choose your integrator. After that, you get some proof of concept work, which, by the way, is unlikely the integrator is going to pay for out of their pocket. At least it has to be sharing, if not coming out of your pocket. The integrator is not there to invent things for you. So I get it. You're saying, hey, I'm going to choose you. I want to make sure you can do it. But there's, generally speaking, there should be some, at least not sharing, if not being part of the proposal itself. And then you want to make sure that you have a definition. What is it that we're agreeing to? Of course, you have an actual agreement, but what is the scope of work? What do we want? What are you giving us? This is the document where we make sure that we're all on the same page. It's really your key document. So, and of course, the key document for everyone is the purchase order, and then of course, the pages also make sure there's. In these cases, you're going to provide these companies with samples. You're going to provide them with user requirements. You're going to provide them with your requirements, your production requirements, timeline that you would like to see. And then you're going to narrow down your field based on that, you know, based on what you get from there. From a budgetary note, the budget that you put in place, you're going to have to think about everything. At least so that you have a realistic idea when your proposal's done. Because they'll know when you do this, you're not going to end up choosing probably the cheapest just because they're the cheapest. In the end, it's like everything. This guy comes in $1 million, this guy comes in 1.2, these people are 100,000, these people 425. Why? Why 425? That's the outlier that makes you think. So it's not about the cheapest solution. It's about the solution that's going to get you what you want and help you meet your objectives. It's really that way in anything that we do, and any components that we all put in our own machinery and our own product come out to our customers. Of course, it's going to have to include the equipment cost. It's going to have to include certain specific spare parts. You know, are they specifying things that are, you know, the white elephants are hard to find and can't be replaced, and can I get them from anybody, by the way? Do I have to buy spare parts from you? Is that acceptable? Or no, I want to go buy them from a local distributor, for example. What about your component materials? The products that are being assembled, built, moved, glued, welded, whatever it is your process is, you have to budget that a certain number of components are going to be tested, perhaps damaged, replaced, unsellable. Let's take an example of a large, complicated machine that's running thousands of parts in a given interval. In medical machinery, you're inserting needles into a catheter, and it's running like that. The integrator needs to build this. They need to test the machine. Well, guess what they need to test the machine? They need thousands of parts to test the machine. They can't say, yeah, we tested it with air, and it looks pretty good. Fits in there. Or here's a box of catheters and needles. Run it through for 1.7 seconds, and then reload it and run it through. No, you have to be able to keep in mind that there's a certain amount of materials that are going to be likely to put into your cost. Shipping, that's the shipping cost. What about, is there specific quality control equipment that you're going to want as well? Is that part of it? Travel, you have to get your employees out there. How often are they going out to visit your integrator's plant? How do they get there? Do they drive? Do they spend the night? What are the costs involved? Customer kickoff, progress checks, your factory acceptance test parameters. You need a full team for that. You need a full team without checking it done before you've nailed down those parameters. What about a buffer or a contingency plan? So in your mind, you should do this ahead of time so you have an idea. You should really know what this is going to cost. You should have a decent idea of what this should be before you're getting out to the integrators. And in doing so, when you go out to the integrators and they come back with a wildly different number, much higher or much lower, then there's some miscommunication going on. If you're thinking this is $1 million, you got 5 people that all come back with 125 grand. What is, there's obviously this or the opposite, of course. You're looking at a $300,000 machine and everyone comes back with 1.2 or more. There's obviously a disconnect. It shouldn't happen if you're doing these other aspects I've talked about before, if you're doing your homework. So plan ahead. Keep in mind when you're doing this is something that all of our customers or integrators to a T, they all came back and said it's a significant amount of time to come up and develop a comprehensive proposal. So plan ahead and make sure that you have a clear idea and that you're whenever they're quoting what you want them to quote. Do you want a cost breakdown? Do you want to see it, or what are the aspects of that quote that you want separated out? What about options? Have you talked about options before? We discussed how many things are necessary and must-have versus we would like to have, and maybe you've translated some of those like-to-haves into options. You said really what we need are A, B, and C. It'd be nice to get D and E, and man, if you could find a way to do this thing, that'd be great. And so, are those down as options? Are they comparable? Are they going to include them in your quote? Should be included. What about the installation expectations? One thing, the line item, installation. What is installation? We ship you the products. I send out a guy. Does he do everything? Or he, them, they? Let's be clear. Remember, the clearer you are, the less and fewer issues you're going to have as you move forward. Again, most of your integrators out there are going to be very clear also that they don't want issues. Nobody wants to fight with an existing potential customer, because then they become past customers. And who's interested in that? And again, this is a partnership. As I always say to my sales team, either we have business or we don't. We all, we want to make some money and we want to save some money or improve the process. And if we can do it together where we can meet those terms, then fantastic. If not, well, then we don't have business. That's okay. But better to know ahead of time. Okay. Your factory and site acceptance test parameters. You're going to go out, especially for large projects, you're going to go out to their factory and you have certain parameters that need to be met. And when it gets brought back into yours, what are the parameters? Are they the same? Are they different? What things you can check out? Usually requirements. So your outline, this is an idea for your outline, quote expectations. You have component drawings and specifications of your products and the latest revision, by the way. Oh, we sent you that revision B, then we moved the handle to the other side, where we just designed this whole section of the machine for the right-handed doohickey, now you have the left-handed doohickey. And so make sure not only you've drawn the latest and most recent models, you keep in mind that when you give them those drawings, you may be moving on your own company and making changes, or changes are maybe in store, that now you're working on doing this and somebody is already redesigning it. And so they're going in good faith and you're going in good faith, and your company has now changed an aspect which can maybe not work in the scenario that you're looking at. As I said before, you want also sample materials and assemblies, your test and inspection protocols, the various cost breakdowns, what options, installation expectations, and the required response date. Here we'd like a quote, if you can get back to us in a month, or we need to make a decision next week, or I'm going to make a decision today. It makes a difference. Also, keep in mind, you're asking them to work with you to resolve an issue for whatever that reason is, and they're going to give you a solution that's going to have certain technology. Do you know how to use that technology? Have you used it before? Can you manage that technology in-house? Are your workers knowledgeable of it in one way or another? And use the total cost of ownership approach. Obviously, well, I'm doing this, so obviously, it's not about the cheapest. It could be, but the goal is not to find the cheapest solution. The goal is to find the right solution. I'm a big believer in the Goldilocks. It's got to be just right. It's not, the cost is important. It has to hit your budget, and we run into that all the time. And there's also the factor of good enough. You like this guy really built a great machine, and it's fantastic, but if your top line amount that you budgeted for is X, and this machine is really great and it's fantastic and it does everything you need and 4 other things, but your budget is X and the other guys do everything that you need within X, well then maybe that's good enough. And that's your discussion, and just be aware up front where the value is to you, because in the end you will get what you pay for. It's always that way. Also, when they quote, they're going to come back, and oftentimes there's an exception list. It's important. What are the exceptions? Well, we're going to do everything you said, except we won't do this and that and the other and this thing. Well, that's really the crux of what we're going to do. That doesn't work for us. So be aware. Some quick do's and don'ts. What is the budget for the proof of concept testing? You want to take the risk out, so budget for it. You don't want to get all the way through a process without having done a proof of concept and find out in the end thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. That's not going to work. So, and then whose fault is that? Well, you told me you could do it. Well, you know that was feasible. Again, you don't ever want to get into that. These things need to be nailed out ahead of time. I said before, budget for travel, and have your operators and techs pre-trained before you do your factory testing. Again, don't buy in price alone. Better buy in value over the lifetime of your solution. I had a lot of input on late penalties. Actually, the input was identical. All of the integrators went through 8 late penalties, and I understand the point. The late penalties are basically, they can force your integrator to sometimes do things to cut corners, and that's not that that's acceptable, but it can be a reality. So I don't say do it, I don't say don't do it. I say let's consider what should be done and what's going to work best. So your scope of work document is a simple clarifying document. It's going to reference the PO, the vendor quote, as per the quote, and as per our specs. You will be talking with Joe and Marty on my side, and Jane and Jacob on yours. We need progress payments upon issue of the PO. We want X% upon this amount milestone another, and this milestone another, et cetera, should be very clear. You have to acknowledge any of the exceptions that they put out there. If they're acceptable to you, then you say yes, then you put them there as well. And it confirms any optional features and how they're going to work from a mechanical budgetary standpoint. All right, so in summary, as we wrap it up here, know your integrator's capabilities, stay involved, but don't micromanage. You know your product, you know what you need. You're going to an expert with to presume that they know what they're doing. They don't need to be told exactly how to do everything, but stay informed. Share your expertise. It'll save you money. Respect their own experience. Visit, see for yourself, bring your team, keep involved. Develop trust. It's a high-stakes game. Sometimes people lose jobs over poorly managed, poorly designed, poorly conceived integration. Companies that are investing a lot of money, other companies are tied to it one way or another, and if it's not working out, many times many people's jobs are on the line. So it's a high risk and oftentimes low margin aspect. So you might want to, if you have a large project out there, maybe there's some smaller, medium projects you can work with an integrator for to kind of establish that relationship I was talking about before and that trust. Again, in summary, plan for your adequate component supply to get the customer, to get the integrator to check. Production quality components and materials, that would be best. I was told a factor of 8 to 10 times your factor acceptance parameters. That's something you can establish with your integrator and yourselves. Make sure you supply all variants, textures, sizes, perhaps color, if it's vision systems, for example. What other variants, make sure they have ample supplies of both. Be prepared to take ownership, because again, it's your machine, it's your responsibility. You're buying this. Make sure that you're following up on it. It's a big investment. Make sure that your people are trained. Make sure that your facility is appropriately prepared on many levels.